All right, this is like 7 of our beer and bush flights trip here. This is really kind of turned into more of a show, a place where I kind of talk more just about flight sim stuff and Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I talk about some stuff going on with me and my channel, and we fly a plane a bit here too. Now, this is definitely one of the longer legs on our journey here, and we're rolling backwards. This is definitely one of the longer legs on our journey. I think it's I think we're at like 83 miles for this guy. So I've got a lot of things to talk about, so that's actually a good thing that this is a bit of a longer one today. And let's let's just get up in the air. I'll talk a little bit more here because I could sit around here and talk for a while. So this leg of your journey will bring you above the highest peaks of the Pyrenees. Ooh, okay. Requiring you to climb to 11,000 feet from Blastis Airport, take off, and head straight on above the valley until you see the familiar town of Saint-Laury. Do not stop climbing. They're okay, so they're very very specific here. All right. Now, one thing I did notice is that we actually have a proper landing strip. The last two airports we were at, we were on the side of a mountain. Both of them were like grassy landing strips, and yeah, just a little sketchy. Fun, but I'm looking forward to just landing in a normal place. So we're at an altitude of 5,000 feet. We're going to take off and basically turn right around. We've got fuel. Flaps are set to take off. And we need to fix our flight plan like we usually do. So does the flight plan make sense? We're going to turn to a heading of... Oh, what did it say again here? 287 degrees. Okay. And yeah, that looks like it would be 287, so I guess we're good. Okay. All right, we're back. I struggled with the flight plan because that's been a thing. If you've seen the other ones, the flight plan never seems to update, but this time it did, and I didn't actually notice it. So anyways, we're just going to go. We're going to take off. We're going to get going. Oh, this was a bad idea. Okay. I'm actually going to turn around. Because it just occurred to me that trying to take off on an uphill, downwind, I think even, is probably a really terrible idea. So we're going to go all the way to the end of the runway. They really don't position you where you generally the best place to take off when you start these next legs of the trip. Okay. All right, we got room here. Let's see, can we turn her around? Oh my gosh. Actually? Okay. Alright, well if that wasn't especially ghetto. Okay, we're off. Crest over this hill and I'm just gonna go for it. I am taking off downwind, but I think that's still preferable to taking off uphill because, as you can see, we could barely even hold it. So it wants me to pretty much head straight for this mountain. Problem with that is we're not going to have the altitude. We're not going to have the altitude that we need to clear this. So I'm going to do a few corkscrews here and get us up. So I guess that's a good chance to talk about some of the crap that's been going on. I haven't been doing beer and bush flights. It's been like over a week since I did the last leg of this trip, and yeah, we got room over here. And the reason for that was, man, I was sick for like 3-4 days straight. I really was only feeling unwell for a couple of those days, but my voice was super off, so I just didn't do any flights. I didn't do any recording. I flew a little bit, and I tried to record one video as I was feeling a little bit better on Sunday night, but my voice just still wasn't there. I sounded like a little kid who couldn't unstuff his nose or blow his nose. So I waited a couple more days, and yeah, we should be all right. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go back out this way first. The other thing you might be noticing is that this recording should be looking like a heck of a lot better. You know, I struggled with VR, recording VR. For pretty much every single flight that I've done, I just could never quite get it to where I liked it. I guess I should be climbing at a better rate here. you know, I'm fortunate. Like my system can run VR well and it can record VR well, but VR's the problem. Like the stabilization, I was just like really not happy with, because what it does in Oculus Mirror, if you've ever tried to record in VR, like Oculus Mirror basically just when you turn on the image stabilization and do a screen recording, it basically just zooms in the image, it crops it, right? And that's how it's able to kind of pan around on the image and give the effect of stabilization. But the problem is, you know, your end result is you have this super cropped in look, so less resolution, right? But also, and this is probably more specific to flight simming, also, because it's so zoomed in, all my little head bobs and stuff, you know, when I'm talking, look really apparent, especially with just the rim of this dashboard in the center of everything. So I really wasn't very happy with that. It was super distracting, and it just kind of bothered me. So what I'm doing now that I think is working out a little bit better, I'm still in VR. I still have a VR headset. This is still beer and bush flights. I still even have a beer. We'll talk about that. But I'm using head tracking, which is something that I used for a long time before I had a system that could run VR. But I'm using the head tracking of the Oculus, and then I just have a giant wraparound display of flight sim in front of me. So I can do things like look around, just turn my head, and I think it looks a lot smoother, and there's less of this dead zone kind of bobbing as I'm talking. And it still looks pretty great, I think, because, you know, I have this giant wraparound screen in front of my face in VR. I'd used this approach before and I kind of forgot about it. And then, you know, once I got VR going, I never really came back to it, but I think this is a really ideal recording setup because you still get the benefits, a lot of the benefits of being in VR. You know, you still get the head tracking, you still have a pretty immersive experience because this giant display is right in my face and it turns with my head. Now you may think like, okay, how is that different at all than VR? It is different. It's different because it's not a stereoscopic image of the game, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it. So there still isn't quite the same level of depth doing this. But it made me think maybe I'll do a video on this particular setup because I don't see a lot of people out there doing it, and I don't know why, because I think it's actually a pretty decent solution, especially if you can't run VR very well, and many people can't. Even now after the sim's been out for 3-4 years, it's still a struggle. So this might be like you know, how to play in VR when you can't play in VR kind of tutorial. Maybe I'll do something like that. Let's see, are we on track? Well, it would help if we were following our track at all. That is strange. Huh. I'm looking for myself on the map, but yeah, I don't see it. Oh, there I am. Oh, you know what? It's still having me do like a corkscrew because it knows I wasn't going to be able to reach that altitude. I think we did all right. So we're going to head over to our first waypoint. We're already at like 8,600 feet, so if I need to do more climbing before we reach the mountains, I'm just going to do it en route. So, yeah, so I'm in VR still, but I'm not playing the VR version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm just using it as a giant monitor and a head tracking tool. And I'm wondering why it's not updating. Okay, bear with me a second. This flight plan's always a freaking issue, isn't it? Alright, so I cut a little bit of that out as I was struggling to fix my flight plan again. I think I got it sorted now. I think I figured out what I did wrong. This is going to continue to plague me, so I'm going to try to remember exactly what I did. So what have we talked about? So yeah, we talked a little bit about this new setup. I think this looks a little better. I can zoom out a lot more. You're not seeing it so cropped. The performance is a little better, though that was never really much of a problem. And I think it's going to look a lot better. I've exported some of the footage from these types of this recording setup in this video, and it looks really good, I think. So that's why my recordings are hopefully looking a little better. You know, we got the new mic recently. I think they're sounding a little better. The other thing, I was sick. I probably still sound a little off. But I'm definitely feeling better. So that's good. I was freaking down for the count, and which was interesting because honestly, all I really wanted to do was record some videos. I almost had like these, I don't know, like these fever dream ideas for videos, and I just couldn't record the voice because it sounded like crap. So should have some interesting stuff, and like some interesting kind of things happened on the channel too while I was out sick. So like one of my shorter videos blew up. That was kind of interesting. Not one that I, felt like super proud of, but yeah, that's just how that stuff goes. I guess it was useful to people, hopefully. So I'm happy about that. The other thing, one video that I was super proud of, the video where I was comparing bush planes, I got a really cool like comment from the developer, Got Friends. And they asked if I wanted to do a review of the double ender. So I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And they got back to me. So I have a really cool idea for the double ender video. I'm just getting my hands on it. I am like way off course here, aren't I? So I'm just getting my hands on it. This evening, like right before I started recording this bush flight, Yonk sent over the stuff, or the copy of it. So like I have a really interesting, I think it's kind of cool idea for the video here. What I think I'm going to do for the double ender, because I did some reading about this plane, and it has a fairly interesting story, how it came to be. It was just like a guy that posted this design that it was the plane. He posted pictures of his completed plane. He took a Cub and he turned it into a twin Cub, and there's a whole process behind it. He detailed all the steps he went through as he revised the design and posted it to the forums. And then like after 2015, the plane wasn't really ever seen again. So when I started reading about this, I thought like this kind of has all of the elements that you need for a good story. It's got this background, it's got this figure, it's got this notoriety in the community and the reaction, and then there's like this mystery of why it went away. So I was thinking I'm definitely going to review it and show it off, but I think I'm also going to try and turn it into a little bit of a way to tell the story of the double ender, how it came to be, and the mystery kind of where it went. And the reason for that is, one, I just kind of admire the long form video content stuff on YouTube. I think it's really cool, and it's the stuff I enjoy watching. I really didn't want to be in that cloud. And I've always wanted to do that. I actually did like one long form video essay several years ago. It's out on some other channel, and I enjoyed it. But something that I really had in mind when I created this channel was I wanted to use Microsoft Flight Simulator as a way to tell stories. Basically, to tell interesting stories, and I think it's really good for that purpose. And I think this is a great story. I think the story of the double ender is a great one. Okay, I should be looking at my nav log because stuff's happening and I'm not paying attention. Turn north. Yeah, we didn't do that. Okay, turn north from St. Larry. What POI are we on? 40. Okay. All right. St. Larry, and continue your ascent toward another familiar town, Eru, from previous leg. As you approach the confluence of Nestia Azure, be sure to climb as fast and steady as you can. Well, I think we're okay climbing wise. I'm at 9,000 feet, and I'm just throttle to the wall climbing. I think it suggested 11,000. Just a suggestion. So I was confused because it's taking us in circles, but it was actually trying to help us, I think, if I'm understanding what's going on right now. I think it was just sending us backtracking just to gain some altitude to get over these next peaks. So that's kind of cool. no wonder this is such a long trip. The first couple of POIs have literally just been backtracking. Look at that, man. We are in it. This trip is kind of interesting because the first few legs, we didn't see a single friggin' mountain, and I was kind of getting disappointed. Like for mountain flying, there's not a lot of mountains, and then pretty much the first leg of our journey where we went into the mountains, it had us go to this impossible runway. Only time I've crashed in a bush trip was on that runway. The first attempt, rather. To focus on climbing more. And now it's all mountains. So it's kind of interesting. It really, I don't know, kind of had an interesting effect on the expectation from the beginning of it. All right. I think we're going to be fine. We're almost at 10,000. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know how the video looks. I think it's looking a lot better with this setup. So yeah, I've got the double ender. I've got an interesting story I want to tell about it as part of the review. And, you know, I thought too, like, there's so many cool reviews on the double ender, and I watched them. I watched several of them. There's a lot of cool reviews out there, and a lot of people doing a really good job reviewing it. And it's been out for a few months. Some people are aware of it. So my idea was, I want to tell the story and make people like care about it. More people care about it that maybe don't know it or don't understand or don't, you know, really just kind of maybe gave it a passing glance because it didn't look like something they would be familiar with. I want to tell the story because I think the story of it's compelling. It's what made me more interested in it. You know, I saw the plane. I thought the plane was super cool, and I thought, you know, it was super gracious of them to offer to send it to me, and I was so down to check it out. But the more I read about it, the more I genuinely felt really interested in the plane and the story and getting my hands on it. So that's my idea for the double ender. So I'm gonna put some time into that one. It's probably not going to be, it's very unlikely that it's going to be this week or this weekend. It's probably going to be sometime next week because I want to put some polish on that. I do have part of the script written, and you know, it's just going to be a matter of doing it and getting the recording and stuff, the video recording and everything, and cutting it. So yeah, I'm going to take my time with that one because I think it's a cool story, and I'm excited to tell it, and I'm excited to review this plane. I think it's really cool. Let's see, next up, and, you know, it's kind of funny, like these beer and bush flights are, well, so obviously unscripted, right? And then some of the shorter videos that I've been doing, like Trent Palmer's low pass and comparing the bush planes, some of my instructional stuff are very heavily scripted in some parts. Some of those are more freeform. It's probably pretty easy to tell which one is which. But I'm trying to find it more natural to read off of a script, but I can't. I'm not very good at it because I'm not an actor. So I think my best approach so far has been to introduce things using a script and hit on key points with a script, and then do like another part of my video that's kind of more like this, more freeform, you know, structured thoughts, structured ideas. So I think that's what I'm going to do again, kind of a mixture as I get more familiar with these things. But yeah, I've been really like surprised that a lot of my other videos and stuff have been getting like the views they have. I never expected that, honestly. Like recording videos in Microsoft Flight Simulator was really just an excuse for me to try out cool new things and stay involved in Microsoft Flight Simulator and show off some of the cool stuff that I was seeing. I never really expected to, you know, in a couple of weeks actually have people watching some of my stuff. So I think that's really cool. And I've, you know, subscribed to some other people in the communities. So some of the other flight sim YouTubers that are, you know, my size, a little bigger, people I wasn't super familiar with before, but I'm like, hey, if I'm doing it, I want to, you know, I want to connect with the other people doing it too, and it's cool. It's been pretty cool. I dropped a comment on Night Train Industries video. He had a really great video about the comparing Microsoft Flight Simulator to X-Plane 12, and that dude has such a cool sense of humor. Like he's funny, like he's dry and funny, and I dig it. If you're watching this far into my video for some reason and you haven't seen Night Train's videos, like just leave. Like seriously, just go watch his stuff. It's funny. It's good. And he was super cool. I dropped a comment and he commented back, and this is a cool community. And I think that was something else I was looking for too, was a sense of connecting with people, because I'm not always very good at that. I'm very solitary. All right, we should spend more time looking at the nav log instead of jabbering away here. Okay. User 41. Okay, watch the airspeed. Yeah, careful with that. All right. As before, following the Nestu Lauren River south, gaining ever more altitude, you will need to be at 11,000 feet to see the top of the southern mountains and the numerous lakes that populate them. Prepare for your approach to the highest peak in the Pyrenees. Okay, so this is it. This is we're hitting the highest peaks, and I think we might actually be a little too low. Oh crap! Oh, that would help, wouldn't it? Okay, I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying attention. This was probably the worst leg to devote like a lot of my mental resources to telling about what's been going on, because it's actually probably one of the more complicated legs on the journey. I don't know how I didn't realize that my throttle was only at half choke there. Yeah, we're gonna be all right. Okay. All right, so we're following this river down, and see, even with head tracking, you still can move around in the plane. You still get that kind of sense of things. I don't think it's quite so jarring, you know, watching it back from head tracking versus VR. Like I would prefer to be in VR right now, but like if the recording is going to be that crappy, I'll just save VR for my own personal flight and playing. Okay, we're at 11,000, so you know what, we're going to be good. The other thing, since we've been running at full throttle for a good bit of time, we should probably turn on fuel transfer, because we definitely don't want to run out of fuel way the hell up here. So the truth is, I'm going light on the beer. I have another Angry Orchard. This should really just be like cider and bush flights at this point. But I'm still getting over stuff, and it really didn't feel right to do my first return to beer and bush flights after a week of not doing it and not having one here. So I just have a single beer, and that's probably all I'm going to really have. I feel like with the last two episodes, I don't think I had beers, and I might have, but I just feel like it was kind of losing its charm if I didn't at least have something that was in the title of it. Maybe we'll change the title one day. Maybe this isn't an interesting premise at all. It's probably not. But yeah, I did my Trent Palmer video, and that was super cool, and that, I was pretty proud of that. And then I did my bush plane video, and I was kind of proud of that too. That came out cool, and now I think I'm angling towards doing some more stuff like that. I'm going to keep beer and bush flights going, because really this is kind of just like a place for me to sound off and talk about kind of mixed topics, some flight sim related, some really not. I just kind of enjoy it, and I don't even really care if no one's watching this, because I just like to do these bush flights, and I like to kind of talk as I'm doing them with whatever's on my mind. And that's how everything here started. That's how this channel started. This is what gave me the idea. So I don't plan to stop doing these. But I am moving to try and do some more long-form essay stuff that's focused around Microsoft Flight Simulator, some review stuff. So this is it. This is the epic sights. I realize I should just stop talking for a little bit and actually take all of this in. Man, I wish I was in VR right now experiencing this. But this is pretty epic. Alright, I think our fuel transfer is looking pretty good. I don't remember, did it give us a full fuel tank? I think it did give us full fuel every time. I don't know if I mentioned, that was something that it didn't used to do. It used to kind of be a pain to refuel in between these bush flights. I guess they just patched it and they changed it. So, yeah, I've been getting like cool comments. Honestly, I expected to get like more negative comments. I don't know why. I just associate, I don't know, online people with being kind of, you know, it's just the internet, right? But no, the flight sim community is pretty cool, man. I've gotten some really cool comments, and I don't know. I feel like some of the stuff I do is kind of cringe, but I just try to be sort of authentic about it, and it seems like that's how most people are. And it's I got one comment today from this gentleman. It was on the video about, it was on my my board and flight video where I just kind of discussed like a few things that I found that if you pay attention to them and you do them while you're flying, it kind of increases your enjoyment a little bit. That was the video I did when I was still sick. Again, sounded like a little kid who couldn't blow his nose, but cool video. I like it. And he said one of the things I had mentioned at the end of the video wasn't so much like something to do in flight, but I stuck it in there anyways because I think it's important, is like to get online and play, because that adds a lot of enjoyment to it. It's something I frankly haven't been doing enough lately. Like whenever I feel bored with Microsoft Flight Simulator, I usually tell myself that's because I'm probably not playing online or engaging with other people. That seems to renew my interest in it. So that was one of the last points I made in that video. And he mentioned that he really didn't have good experiences flying like online with people. Real life pilot, I'm not. And you know, he just said it seemed like people weren't really sort of adhering to how one would fly a plane in real life, didn't really know how to fly a plane, and the people he was flying with, I guess it was just, you know, pretty unrealistic for him, which makes sense. And I guess my feeling about that is I not so much in these flights, but usually I try to fly, you know, as realistically, I think I said as realistically as my limited knowledge of aviation allows me to. But I still dick around too. I still just like to try things out. I'm still lazy. If I see an like an airstrip or something, and I didn't plan for it, I'm just gonna like dive down sometimes, go direct in. But I can understand this point. And yeah, I think I said like, yeah, when you have people like doing donuts on the runway, and it's chaos, that's not a lot of fun for me either. But like, I think this is probably my own personal thing, but I feel like the more you kind of like say people aren't doing things the right way, the more it kind of intimidates people that, you know, probably would really enjoy it and probably become more proficient in Flight Simulator if they did jump online and talk to other people, even if they didn't really know what they were doing at first. And just to be honest, that was kind of my fear early on as well, going online. Like I don't know, I felt kind of intimidated. Like I sort of know what I'm doing. I've flown planes in real life before. I've played flight sim for a while, so I know kind of what to do. I've read things and I've watched things and I've flown things, but I always felt like, yeah, if I'm not following proper procedures, like I shouldn't be playing online, because I'm just going to get in people's way. As lame as that sounds. I definitely didn't go on Bat Sim. That there probably is a good case for why you shouldn't go on something like Bat Sim if you truly have no clue what you're doing. I don't think that stops people though. But I feel like the more we say, like, you should be adhering to rules, you should have knowledge, you should be following procedure, the more it kind of closes off a community a little bit. And I'm not saying that was this guy's opinion. I could be mischaracterizing his statement, and I hope, you know, I hope I'm not making it sound like super negative. But it made me kind of think back to like when I was fairly new and uncomfortable with going online and not really very knowledgeable, and my RPMs are in the red. What am I doing? And I guess, I responded back like pretty, I think I was pretty nice and genuine about all of that, and just expressed my opinion pretty much like I have here. I don't have a lot of views. I have a few thousand, but I can see kind of the audience that watches flight sim content, and it skews older, and that's cool. I'm older. I'm not that old, but I'm older, and there need to be people. We need younger people, like, honestly, people that are going to develop the sim, when they grow up, people that are going to continue to participate in the community, people that are going to continue to buy flight sim gear, to keep the industry alive, to keep companies alive in this hobby. So that's my little rant on the community, and I prefaced it earlier by saying that it's been super welcoming to me and super cool, and I think that's generally the experience. I think it's just something to be kind of aware of. I don't know. I get off my soapbox. Man. So we're hovering right around 11,000 feet. We're pretty much just skimming right along the top of the mountains. I wanted to get closer to this peak, because I thought there would be something interesting down there. So there's like a whole little town. That looks cool. I try to imagine, God, what it must be like to just live day to day your life in a place like this. I don't live in a place that looks anything like this. I live in a very flat state in the South, in the United States, and there's no mountains, there's no terrain. It's Florida. It's flat, and I just have to think what it's like to live in this environment. I'm sure it's one of those things too, where it's like, you've been living here for long enough. It's not anything mind shattering anymore. But what do you think life is like, where you have to make this kind of trek? I mean, there are roads, people have cars, but this isn't very easy probably to get to civilization from out here. Oh, I love these. Okay, you see that lake right up on the mountain there? So there was one that I really wanted to go. It's in a state park. It was called, I want to say Sky Lake, but that's the name of an Intel processor. And I know that's not it. I mean, I know it's not just an Intel processor. It's a place, but that's not it. Freaking love that. That's so cool. So I think next thing, after I kind of get the feel for some of this newer direction I want to take some of the future content, the more general interest, aviation general interest, but more story focused stuff, I think I'm going to get into live streaming. Okay, adjust slightly. That was probably Lake Barseca. Yeah. Adjust slightly east-southeast, passing over a series of lakes on the mountain peaks until you reach the Barseca Reservoir of the river. Yep, I think that's what we just passed. POI 44, right? Yep, POI 44. Sorry, I have this big boom mic right in front of my face. It's the only way that it picks up my voice decently well. So when I lean in, I just bop it with my head. So hopefully that's not too distracting. Okay. POI 45. North of the Barseca Reservoir, atop the mountain range, another body of water awaits. Lake Redon. Alright. Dude, I would probably... I'm trying to think if I was doing this in the X-Cub right now. This exact trip, I'd probably be having a lot more fun, to be honest. If I was in the X-Cub, I would probably have that mixture pulled way the hell out. We'd probably still be climbing like no freaking problem. I'm growing to like this plane, but I kind of like it in the way that I'm doing something incredible with a machine that was really never designed to do quite this. You know how you kind of develop an affinity for something that serves you in situations that it was probably never designed to be in? I could be wrong about the DA-40. Maybe it really excels at this kind of stuff, but it just doesn't feel like a bush plane. It feels like a slower Cirrus. As crappy as that sounds. Yeah, God, I wish I was in the Wilga. That's the truth. Just some kind of bush plane. Alright, so we're coming up. Been doing a pretty poor job at trying to navigate by POI, but I've also been talking a lot, so I was looking for a lake reservoir. Oh, and I just didn't see one. Let's go outside for a sec. Yeah, definitely no lake reservoir. Let's see where we at. So it wants us to descend at 46. Hang on. Yeah, we're 46 to 47. Read on to the north. Far down in the valleys lies the town of Vielha. Descend to 7,900 feet as you make your way there. Oh, okay. Head east from Vilha, following the waters of Ariu. Garona, the river will lead you into another valley and soon to an area with multiple confluences branching north and south in the ski resort town of Baccarat. Alright. So I'm getting that we should have been descending, which we can do. Cut throttle, not that much. Cut throttle a little bit here. Oh, okay. This looks like a nice little town. I think it's Baccarat. So yeah, I guess if there is anything to say definitively about this channel, it has a plan, it has a purpose, like I've got a direction now and I'm excited for that. It's kind of funny, like I talked about, you know, that it was always sort of my my goal to get into long form video essay kind of stuff. Maybe not in the exact genre, but something that mimics the style. I feel like 7,900 feet's way too low. This doesn't feel right. I guess if we follow the river below us, we'd be okay. And you know what inspired that was actually Jacob Geller's channel. I think like right in the middle of COVID, the dude posted a really great video essay on Microsoft Flight Simulator. And it was like right at the right as the pandemic was really popping off. And I think it was called what, Cities with No People, something like that. Awesome freaking video. And it kind of gave me the idea. He made a really cool video essay kind of talking about, you know, in the middle of COVID, when people were pretty much sheltering in place in their homes, like many cities were completely barren of people through part of the day at least. And that was kind of an interesting parallel to Microsoft Flight Simulator, because obviously there's no people walking around down here. There's cars, and that's about it. And he just kind of made an interesting social commentary relating to the game. That's sort of what he does. And that's kind of what made me think that maybe there was something to this. It's telling stories with Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I sat on that idea for a while, and I played Microsoft Flight Simulator a bunch, and I felt intimidated to go online. And now I guess I just completely went in the other direction and just started making videos on it. So yeah, that's the plan, that's the purpose. I definitely have like more interest in what I'm doing than I ever expected. I know these videos still don't get a ton of views, and I don't think there's even a single person that watches these through, so I really don't feel too bad about rambling and kind of being kind of vulnerable through the middle of these, because I don't think they're ever going to get seen, and I'm good with that. It's really an excuse for me just to put something out there, keep up the regiment. The regiment? Yeah. Finish these bush flights because I do enjoy these legitimately. And just kind of sound off a little bit. So yeah, next up I think I'm gonna do like a short tutorial video because I can do that pretty quickly, and I'm kind of excited about it. Detailing how I put together this little setup, my VR not VR kind of setup for recording, because I think it's going to be kind of useful to people who really want to play Microsoft Flight Simulator in VR but really don't have the hardware to play it at an acceptable level visually. It's a really tricky thing to do even today. So I think that's valuable to people. And like some of the most frequently posted things that I see about Microsoft Flight Simulator, at least on Reddit and YouTube and stuff, is pretty much all surrounding VR. If this game didn't have VR, it probably would not have a large percentage of the following that it does today. I'm pretty confident in saying that. This game, I mean, don't get me wrong, this game's really good in 2D. The scenery looks incredible, but I think VR really took it to the next level. I wonder how many video cards Asobo is responsible for selling, like the high-end ones for VR, for Flight Sim. I bet it's a lot. I know, I succumbed to it. Alright. So we're cruising down here. There's Vielha, I guess. Oh, user 48. Okay. Just trying not to crash into a mountain. Okay, turn southeast. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Okay. Turn southeast from Bakura and track with the flowing waters of the Arroyo de Ruda. Eventually, an opening in the mountain range will appear to the east. Eventually, a mountain range will appear to the east. Okay. Okay, I follow. Heading to another valley. Look for the zigzagging road that climbs into the pass. Okay, this is going to be good to look for. This will be kind of fun. So what I'm doing now, I'm following the river instead of the magenta line because I want to be a little bit lower. So we're looking for the zigzagging road as we pass these peaks here. We got... Well, nothing yet. And we're over halfway through our, through this particular bush strip now, aren't we? We're at like 7. How many are there? 12, 14? I think we're at least halfway by this point. If I'm not mistaken. Once we finish this. There's a few more of these like 85-mile trips, which really isn't that long compared to some of the other ones, but they're the longer ones in this particular set. For this particular bush trip, rather. So there's a few more of these, but we're getting to the halfway point if we're not past it already, and then already past the highest mountain peak. Like I said, I've been enjoying the plane. I'm puzzled by the selection, but that's nothing new. I'm puzzled by a lot of the decisions in this game. Let me talk about them. So, the flight training is perplexing. Why do you start me off on the very beginning of flight training at a really hot airport at a very high altitude in a very underpowered little Cessna? It doesn't make any sense. It's very confusing. I think I know why. I think they really just wanted to show off the scenery, which looks good. But you know, KSEZ, that's the airport that you do all the beginning flight training missions on. No one does introductory flight training at that airport. Why? Because it ends on a freaking drop-off on all sides. It's a butte. It's basically a butte, right? So it's just like this raised embankment or something, outcropping, that's flat enough that they could put an airstrip on it. But all around it are several 100-foot drops. So, yeah, you're not going to be teaching someone the basics of flight and taking off and landing when there's a potential for them to overshoot the runway and crash to their death several hundred feet below the airstrip. So that's weird. The other flight training I found really weird was, again, the use of the Icon A5 to teach bush flying. Maybe I'm uninformed, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody like consider the Icon as like a proper backcountry plane that you're going to learn to fly, do mountain flying on. It's capable. I know it's like kind of an adventure plane, but why not just a Cub? Like, is that not a good chance to teach people how to fly tailwheel planes and stuff? I don't know. The Cub's got amphibious, it's got floats too, so you could do that bit of the training mission, the water landing stuff. All right. What do we got next here? Turn southeast from back road, track the flying. Where was what are you? Okay. Road that climbs into the pass. Okay. Then follow the natural path of the valley southeast until you reach the confluence of a river coming from the north. Alright, so after we pass this part, looking for the river, cool, okay. All pretty much 4 miles. Alright, good deal. We're gonna get the fuel situation leveled out here a little bit. I wish I looked at what altitude I'm landing at. Not that that's happening right now, but it's coming up. Man, I feel super off my game just coming back, not only to like flight simming. I mean, I did a little bit while I was sick, but like recording, like just talking off the cuff, I feel super like out of my element, man. So I'm sorry, this is probably pretty rough if anyone is in fact watching these. But I'll get back into the groove of it. I'm sure. Yeah, this feels okay to be at like 7,900 feet. That I'm good with. So we're just going to try to maintain that. I think I spotted a zigzagging road, maybe, unless I already missed that. Right on the hillside down there, past. Kind of breaking my own rule here, flying through clouds. As much as I talk about that kind of stupidly, but I really kind of want to be careful stepping out too far to the left or the right here as I get kind of lower. Alright, what are we coming up on? Okay, that's 50. Oops. Man, I almost forgot kind of how these Oh, wow, these POIs are labeled. Okay. As the river La Nagora powers up runs south, it will lead you past another waterway confluence. Continue south until you reach a second conflux. What the hell is a conflux? Is that a word? Did they mean confluence again? They probably meant confluence. I hope. Because I don't know what the hell I'm looking for if not. Conflux? Has anyone ever... Okay. I don't know. What's the fuel here? Okay. Right. So I'm just going to say I totally screwed up navigation on this trip. This has been by far the worst in terms of VFR navigation. I've been way too concentrated on trying to... You know what? I changed a lot of things. I changed from VR. I got invested talking about my personal stuff. I got confused by the flight plan. And we're pretty much just left following a magenta line, which is never what I want for these trips. So I feel like I failed a little bit in that regard on this one. But I have confidence that we'll be back on top of it for the next one. Because really, I mean, I joked about it at the beginning of this series, like, it's not really that much fun following a magenta line on a bush trip. That's not the point. And, I guess here I am telling people how to play the game, but I feel like they put all this effort into, doing these, giving you these notes and stuff to kind of enjoy it and make you pick, look out for things in the scenery. And I think that's how it's best enjoyed. And I am basically ignoring that as I talk about myself, so we're gonna roll that back a little bit. Alright, should be coming up on, what was this, POI 51? Oh, we're getting close now. There's only 53 of them. Maintain a river U-turn. Oh, that's cool. Okay. That must be, yeah, coming up here on the left river U-turn. Maintain your southern heading along that. Soon it will branch off to form the south-running Rio descent to that. Follow this new riverway, even as it takes a U-turn and leads you east along a narrow valley. Okay. Alright, that's cool. So there is the U-turn river. I'm sure it looks like. Well, there's a lot of things. But one thing I really miss from VR is just being able to put those panels anywhere. Like the navlog that I keep opening to read from. In VR, I could stick that anywhere in virtual space. Like down by my feet, over by the window. In flat screen, you don't get that. It pretty much stays locked to your view, right? So that's kind of an interesting thing. I'm going to miss that. But I don't know. I mean, unless somebody knows a way to get really good quality stabilized VR video without, just zooming in crazy on one eye is how it's done pretty much. You pick one eye, you zoom in the image and crop it and do stabilization, and I just don't like the way it turns out. To be honest, I really don't like the way it turns out on other people's channel. Like, I think their stuff looks about as good as it possibly could, but that's not kind of how I want it to look when I'm editing. I don't know. It kind of just, when I'm editing my footage, like from the last beer and bush fights, it just makes me nauseous looking at it, man. There's so much bobbing and stuff going on. And maybe I'm just overanalyzing it, but I couldn't stand it. And I really haven't seen anybody describe a better way of doing it than what I was doing before. But if you have some idea, please let me know, because I still prefer VR to this. This isn't bad. Like, don't get me wrong, this is perfectly... Oh, wow. Huh. This is perfectly great experience, but I'd prefer to be in VR. Yeah, I definitely cannot see anything around me. That was a bad idea. Alright. Let's see, what's the other thing I've been thinking about lately? Rudder pedals. I was discussing this in another comment. I've mentioned in a few of my videos, like, how terrible these rudder pedals are. Oh, wow. I thought that was an airstrip. It might be. It's just not our airstrip. Perhaps. God, I sure would love to land there, though. This video is already getting kind of long. I'm not going to take any, like, clandestine landing spot here. It is. Okay. I see it on the map now. It's definitely a landing strip. And it's our landing strip. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, 53. And all right. Let's pause for a second, because I kind of need, I wasn't expecting it to come up already. And for us to be done. Turn southeast above the nearby hill. As you crest the mountain, you will see a valley and river cutting through it. I do remember that. Up ahead, you should see the airport among the plains, which we did. Fly to the town of Adril, southeast of the airport, and prepare to turn northwest for final. Yeah, that's definitely what we saw. Doesn't give an altitude, but that's... Or does it? No, it doesn't. That's okay. Alright. Oops. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna guess that's... I'm terrible at guessing altitudes. So I'm going to overshoot this, because I really don't feel like going in a pattern and circling around and doing that whole thing. So I'm just going to head back this way. I'm already kind of interested in what's over back here. I think we're heading this way next. And I'm going to use that as an excuse to descend and drop a few thousand more feet. I'm going to guess this is probably at 4,000. I don't know, it's hard to say. Can't really see it anymore. So, town of Adril. I guess that would be it. Sure looks like it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we are way too high. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna enter the pattern and do this properly. Yeah, this is definitely lower than 4,000. This might be like 2,000-ish feet, if I had to guess, just rounding. So we've got some work to do here. We've got some altitude to lose. And I'm not in a huge rush. It said runway 3. We might just do a full circle in the pattern and come back, yeah, and do the runway 3. That's probably a good suggestion. And next trip, we're going to be heading out this way, it sure looks like. Out to the east. I'm doing a poor job at staying lined up here. You know, I've never noticed the sounds this plane makes before. Maybe I just haven't had the volume as turned up. There's a lot of weird creaking kind of sounds. Almost like a spinning clock a little bit. Maybe that's the gyro. I don't know. Would that make sense? Maybe not. Better watch that bank angle. And, yeah, I haven't noticed that before. Maybe I'm just hearing it more so because I've had the engine cut for a minute now as I circle the airport. I think I cut it a little close there. Okay, I feel a little bit better about this altitude. And that's all it really is. Like when I was first, I don't know, trying to figure out what the heck I was doing in Flight Simulator, I think I was just always so much in a rush to do the landing that I would just never really set myself up for success very well. And pretty much just dive bomb and try to get into the runway and get down and always come in really low and really fast. Pretty much what that guy said in the comment. And really, I still kind of do that a little bit. But I've learned to just kind of spread it out a little more. Give yourself some time. You're not in a rush. So I'm trying to take my own advice here. Okay. All right, how does that look? There it is. Okay. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Yeah, that looks pretty all right. Yeah, I would guess it must be, oh, I don't know, around 3,000-ish feet. We're gonna do full flaps. Get ourselves lined up a little bit here. I think I'm still a little high on this approach. It's probably more like 2,000 feet. You know, and also so used to landing, again, in VR, it's hard to get a sense of depth here. So I may be off. Yeah, so they actually have PAPI lights, and I am way high. So I pretty much came in too low and too fast. You know, what can you do? I think we're going to be okay, though. We've got a nice long runway. And I think we're going to be all right. Whoa, okay. A lot of float. And I just don't really care.
Stall, 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 stall.
All right, we're down. Not a great landing, but honestly, I've been so distracted. I'm happy we made it down in one piece. All right. So that's leg 7. I promise, you know, next week, I think, or not, probably not next week. In the next few days, I'm going to do the next leg. I'm going to do leg 8. I'm going to be a little more in focus with things, with the navigation and, you know, flying the plane part. But I really just wanted to get back in the swing of things. So I'm sorry if this was kind of disheveled and sort of random without much direction and not very good piloting. But this is me getting back into it. So, you know, we'll see what happens next time.